G'day and hello beautiful people, it is Milmo here. Hope you're having a fantastic day, afternoon, evening, night, no matter the time wherever you are. Hope life is treating you well. This time for Walker Wednesday we start off with Road to Survival. A familiar sight, yes, definitely. Anyways, let's kick on over. Basically, I've been upgrading my material posts, like I said previously. I've got most of them. This one's almost to 30, and then I've just got this last one to finish off, and that will be my material post all maxed out at level 30. We're interested to see what the production lines sort of are. We've got some light training with some 3 stars happening, had way too many survivors. What I would like to start doing is more these advanced mythic courses. I want to actually see if I can get a gold mythic. That might be something I do a little series of maybe, and just do massive bulk training grounds of those, and maybe open, I want to say 100 because it's a nice number, but that might be a bit ridiculous. Anyways, I'll figure out the finer details for that later, I guess, in that respective. At the moment, we'll go ahead and do some survival road because that's what's happening, just to help out my faction. Now, when I did transfer over with my faction, the one thing I was hoping to keep when I transferred over with the faction was actually my faction join date, which in the end I didn't actually keep. So that was disappointing because the one last little sentimental thing I had was my faction join date. Now, my faction join date was the first ever day factions were made available. I made that faction with my brother, and so I had the original join date, and unfortunately I lost that. So I think that was back in 2015, and I can't remember the exact date, but I unfortunately lost that, which sort of sucks. Roadmap wise, I've done mostly everything. I think Act 1 of the gold medal I've done. Divided, I haven't even started that yet. Still 19 days left. Hopefully I don't forget. Pandemonium, I end up finishing that off. Finished off the story mode. Already have those cutscenes up, so didn't have to do anything too much with that in regards to recording or editing. So that's pretty cool. So pretty much finish off the roadmap. So maybe started upgrading that. It's not really too much to do other than survival road at the moment, so I'll just continue on with that. Yeah, so pretty much with these teams I just auto fill and then let them go at it. I'm not really technical or strategic with my teams these days. I guess that sort of comes back with, if I want to talk about I'll go back to transferring my faction. So when I did transfer my faction, lost my joined up, cry like a baby, I did actually. And what ended up happening was I had a lot of new players or new accounts join. So I've got still some existing players that were from my previous region that come over or were in this region and then come into the faction again. But then I've got a lot of new players or new accounts, so they're very low level. And I think the disappointing thing for those sorts of accounts and players is just the vast majority of players that are well established and have just these OP, absolutely brutal mythic teams that it must be like you're back against a wall, sort of trying to establish yourself and even get near that. The years and years of experience and account building that those players have had on these newer players, I feel absolutely terrible for them. So I was going to actually move regions, but I'm going to stick with this one just because I don't want to leave all those people that are in my faction. There's like 28 of them now, so I'll feel really bad if I leave them. And I want to try and help them out a bit, like doing these things, survival road, to try and get them some rewards. Because like I said, it must be such a long road and a tedious road for them to even get anywhere near the power level of these high-end players that have just changed regions, and these people coming in with new accounts, or aka they're new players to the game. I don't know which one it is, but they're new accounts definitely, you know, with the looking at the levels, they're new levels, they're very low levels, looking at the teams, new accounts. So I feel absolutely terrible for those sorts of players. it must be like a drowning feeling. Like, I'll look at the rosters and the teams these people have during wars, and I'll be like, there's no way in the next year I'm even getting up near any of those, unless I spend big money. And that's a sad reality, honestly. It's honestly sad, and it's one of my major critiques of the transfers and what it's actually done to this game and the regions. Hey, it was a good thing for if you're in a dire region, you could actually get out of it now, but I think it's created a bigger problem in regards to power gap, and I'm not a particularly big fan of how the transfers are set up. I personally believe there needs to be a restriction that players of certain levels can't go into certain regions. Like, you need to lock certain regions for newer players. That's just how it needs to be. I don't think they'll ever implement that, but I think for now it's a bit broken. It is absolutely broken. For me, don't care. Like, I honestly don't care. I'm one of those established players that all these big mythic teams don't scare me. But for a newer player, it's completely unfair, or for newer accounts, it's utterly ridiculous. Like, I cannot believe it. So like I said, I'm more than happy to help these guys out by doing the little bit I can, because I feel terrible for them, honestly. I feel absolutely terrible. Being a new player in this game is not something I would recommend. But moving on, we got the lieutenants up again. This time around, everyone got a little bit of love with the small amount of the veteran rings that I had. Also did some leveling up, because there's always a leveling up tournament. Now, I don't necessarily always include the bulk leveling up I do, but this time around I'll include a little bit. And that was about it for Road to Survival this week. You know, the typical, it's a grindy game like most, RPG, RTS games are. Yes, remember your letters. That's sort of what the game's all about. Speaking of grindy games, we'll let Carl and Abraham finish it off with a little bit of leveling. We move on to the Walking Dead Survivors. Now, I'm getting to the point in this game now, hitting Town Hall level 16 and having to upgrade things, that I've started to slow down a lot. I was really just pumping through and getting a lot of upgrades and going up a Town Hall almost a week, and I went from literally 0 to being a semi-decent player that can actually hold my ground fairly quickly. But it's definitely slowed down now that the Town Hall is level 16. But the thing I was most looking forward to with the Town Hall going to 16 was the training grounds, upgrading my training grounds so I could finally get tier 6 fighters. I was doing okay with tier 5 fighters, like I was standing my ground, but it was definitely something that was needed at tier 6, and now I've got tier 6, I want tier 7 and so forth, so I guess that's the natural evolution, is wanting more from it. But for now, basically what I did is I always start at my front side of my building, so I started upgrading all that first side there first. Started with the training grounds because, like I said, wanted tier 6 survivors, fighters I should say. And then I moved on to my things like my library, because there was a few things I wanted to actually research technology-wise in the library, so I decided to upgrade that. And I want to upgrade your little section where you have your specific training, yes, definitely, for your sharpshooters, cavalry, and your melee trainers. So I wanted to do that. That just helps you a bit better to defend your town, so I wanted to get that. And I wanted to finish off my development, which I can say I've now got to 100%. So that's all it was really focusing on. Also getting the bar up and all those other little things that I've got over on that side, and my little towers. The gate, of course, was also up, and then it was moving on to the tedious task of upgrading the other side. Now on the other side I have all the houses, which is good because it increases your group size, which, you know, increasing your group size does increase your overall costs, but it's better to get more training done in one shot than having a smaller group size and having to, yeah, it's a bit cheaper, but you're getting less done within that time. So just efficiency wise, it's better off to send off a big group. So always do the houses on that side first, and then I just gradually move into your bullets, your food, and then also your water tower and your wells there and so forth. It's definitely a bit slower now. It's slowed down. Like, buildings are taking 20 plus hours to upgrade. I'm not using too many speed ups at the moment just because I don't really feel it necessary. I'm more than happy to wait the duration. If there's something I'm like, I must have it now, then I'll use speed ups, but I feel like that's a good way to actually build a lot of speed ups so that in later levels you're able to speed through them a little bit quicker for things you want that little bit faster. But apart from that, when it came to the carriage, so the wheels this week, we upgraded that, got that to level 20, or the exterior sort of components are now level 11 as well. Can't obviously with the carriage do the performance aspect because, you know, it's got all the horsepower already, no pun intended. And that was pretty much the sort of carriages this week. Probably one of the bigger achievements and getting lucky this week was when it came to a long transmission. Now, when I opened this long transmission, it was guaranteed epic or legendary, and I got a legendary, and it was the beautiful Morgan. And I am so happy about that because finally I can get my second star legendary. So yeah, my second 1-star legendary. Let me think of how to put that without it sounding weird. And so I was so thankful, and I managed to get him up to level 49 before I ran out of legendary medallions. So, you know, that sucks. Need to wait up and then I'll max him out at 50. Moving on from that, it was about getting more forging done. Now, I managed to complete this week with the forging that all my first 2 formations have a completely decked out kit, so they've got every slot filled with a common sort of material, or equipment I should say. It's not really a material, I guess some of it's material, but equipment, which is good. I don't see that. Now you may say, well, you have enough that you could be upgrading to rare. The reason why I don't upgrade is it's more efficient for me now that everyone have a weapon and equipment, rather than having higher weapon and equipment. I'll worry about that later on when I've got them completely decked out. I've only got, 5 more slots to finish now, with the first 2 teams being fully decked out, and then Michonne needs 1, and Glenn and Shane, the legendary ones, need 2 more, so the hat and the jacket for themselves. So in total, they're almost all fully decked out with common stuff. Once that happens, then I will start actually manufacturing or forging equipment so that I can get the rare stuff. But for now, it's more important for me to have them have the equipment and those bonuses. And then later I'll look at getting the bigger and better bonuses. For me, that's how I want to do it. That's how I see it as being most efficient. And it's better, especially when it comes to PvP aspects and also the PvE, because if you can have fairly strong teams and then have those little boosts, it may be the thing that actually wins it for you, rather than just having one strong team, which is great for PvP, I should say, if just one OP team can win, you know, a lot for you. But I'm not really at the end game where that's like, I'm gonna be doing that with the majority of plays, you know what I mean? Like, I'm still early game, so I still have to think, and I come into this game later than everyone else, so I'm still at the point of where I just need to be an all-rounder and have my overall strength fairly well and solid, rather than going, oh, I just need one OP team and I need one OP this, because I'm not really at the level where I can quite do that just yet. But now I'm rambling. Moving on. So if we look at the complete recap of the week with the login from this morning, as you can see, pretty much all this front side is completed. I've done my gates, I've done all my towers, my training grounds, my formations, everything on this side is level 16 and maxed out. So now it's time to concentrate on the backhand side. Firstly, I finished off the houses like I said previously. Now moving on to the food, I don't really have a preferred sort of pattern in which I upgrade these or line up in what I have to do. It's just whatever I want to do, and I just do it usually in groups. So if I do food, water and so forth, and hospitals. But overall, if we look at the team formation wise, like I said, I was hoping to get to that 500,000 power for my first one, and I did, and a bit extra, which was really nice. Second team 457. Like I said, there was always a gap between my first and my second, and my second and third were the closest to, but now that's changed drastically with the upgrade of Morgan and also Shane as well. What I would like to do with my first two formations, however, is I want to trade out Billy and Holly for actually Shane and Morgan, because they have a better chemistry, so they'll be able to get me a plus 20%. I believe it is, off the top of my head, health and defense in that first team. So I'd much prefer that, having that full chemistry. And speaking of chemistry, it's time to move on to days after. This week, I finally managed to get level 34, so I have the iron axe now and the iron hammer, which means I can finally go to the mine and actually chop down the oak trees and farm those sorts of things. So we'll definitely be doing some mine runs in the future. But for now, I want to get the medics table so I'm able to perform some chemistry and craft some medicine clearly, and some stuff that will definitely get down my infection, because especially when you're using melee weapons, you get a lot of infection level, so it's handy to have those things other than, you know, your bag of berries to sort of get it down. It's handy to have other things, because there are things that do a lot more of bigger quantity than the infectious rate. Looking at the things remaining, it looks like wood planks, cherries or berries. Berries, they're definitely berries, not cherries. Could be cherries, I guess, if they didn't have a leaf. And some cloth, so we'll just go ahead, go to the berry crate and grab those. I did end up doing a berries tea crate as well. It's up next to the food there. And then the cloth and the wooden planks will be down in this other corner here. We'll grab the wooden planks and then we'll craft up the medic's table. Now I did already clean out a room, or make room for it, make room for it right here in front of the window. I moved everything over and I moved my gift box to the other side of the room. Let's go ahead and craft this up now that everything's ready to go. We'll craft it. There it is. Cannot build it. It already exists. Okay, calm down. Okay, so for the, I can craft both of these, but for the the quest, I should say, I need the hammer, the iron hammer, so I'll craft that. I'll just place this down now, and as you can see, like, I moved things over and I moved my medic crate so it's right next to it. This is what I was after. Disinfection kit. Mushrooms, the mushrooms you can get from the mine, so another reason for me to be going to the mine and actually foraging, and then I'll dry them out and be able to make some of the disinfectant kit, and then later on when I upgrade I'll be able to make the medic box and so forth. But for now it's time to craft this iron hammer because it is the next quest. We need some scrap, wooden planks again, and some tape. This week for this game I haven't done particularly a lot, so I'm just doing these final little things and giving a quick update. But next week definitely going to the mines. We're going to start farming there a bit more often, or foraging there a bit more often, just so I'm able to craft things, because a lot of these things in the later stages need materials or resources that are from the higher difficult levels like the mine, so gonna have to start getting used to those difficult levels. But let's get at the iron hammer. There we are, quest done. Just gotta finish off a few more of those, but like I said, short one this week for this game. There's the gift box over there. I'll start putting things away. I'll put this away. But as always, I hope you did enjoy. I thank you for watching. Always remember how awesome you are. Bye.
Days of light when the world is getting darker. I have a dream where love's the only side. So take my hand, join the army of the side.